Welcome to our channel, where we explore the latest developments shaping global politics. Today, we delve into a significant move by the United States and the Philippines as they inaugurate a new military base in the heart of the South China Sea. Palau Island, nestled in the midst of the vast expanse of the South China Sea, has emerged as a focal point of geopolitical maneuvering. Its strategic location provides unparalleled access to key maritime routes and critical choke points. In a joint effort to assert their presence and safeguard regional stability, the United States and the Philippines have unveiled plans to establish a military base on Palau Island. This move signals a proactive stance against escalating tensions in the South China Sea. U.S. Secretary of Defense Fulgur called for increased basing in the Pacific, but provided few details regarding exact locations or operating concepts. Given the security situation in the Pacific, the U.S. should look to establish hub and spoke base networks in the Marianas Islands, Palau, and eventually the Philippines. Furthermore, operating concepts for the hub and spoke base networks should aim to enhance resiliency, frustrate Chinese targeting, and further the United States' geostrategic position. Fulgur's call for additional basing is necessary based on U.S. interests, lack of current basing options, and China's assertiveness. The recent Chinese Defense White Paper highlights China's increasingly aggressive rhetoric, which is matched by actions in the South China Sea and around Taiwan. These actions threaten American interests in the region, including freedom of navigation and the military geography of the U.S. position in the Pacific. Ultimately, U.S. and allied military power in the region is the guarantor of the fair trade upon which the United States depends. Unfortunately, the United States has limited air bases in the region from which to project power. On the Asian mainland, the United States has only 2 air bases in South Korea, both of which are focused on preparing for and deterring war with North Korea. Beyond the mainland, the United States maintains air bases in Japan, but only Kadena Air Base in Okinawa is positioned to secure U.S. interests in the East China Sea or South China Sea. The United States also maintains a base on Guam. However, the concentration of forces there make it a prime target for enemy operations. To help safeguard U.S. interests and to check China, the United States needs to establish a more robust base network in the region. The United States should develop an integrated base network using a hub-and-spoke model. A hub-and-spoke base network includes a main operating base and collocated operating bases. This is not a new idea. The U.S. Air Force used a similar model to ensure survivability during the Cold War. The tiny Pacific nation of Palau has urged the United States to build military bases on its territory, which lies in a region where Washington is pushing back against growing influence attempts by the People's Republic of China. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper visited the island nation in September and accused the PRC of ongoing destabilizing activities in the Indo-Pacific. Palau's request to the U.S. military remains simple: build joint-use facilities, then come and use them regularly, he said in a letter to the U.S. defense chief. The note said the nation of 22,000 was open to hosting land bases, port facilities, and airfields. Remengesau also suggested a U.S. Coast Guard presence in Palau to help patrol its vast marine reserve, which is difficult for the nation to monitor. While Palau is an independent nation, it has no military, and the U.S. is responsible for its defense under an agreement called the Compact of Free Association. Under the deal, the U.S. military has access to the islands, although it has no troops permanently stationed there. In addition to its close U.S. ties, Palau is one of Taiwan's 4 allies in the Pacific. The Chinese Communist Party, which sees Taiwan as part of its territory, has tried to win over Taipei's allies in the Pacific. Palau has refused, prompting the PRC to effectively ban Chinese tourists from visiting the island in 2018. It would appear that President Remengesau sees this, in part, as a potential economic solution to counter Palau's significant dependence on tourism, including Chinese tourism, said Anna Powles, an expert in Pacific security at New Zealand's Massey University. While not naming the PRC, Remengesau told Esper that destabilizing actors have already stepped forward to take advantage of the virus-related economic crisis that small island nations are experiencing. Of course, just because the United States can develop bases in the Philippines, Palau, or Marianas, doesn't mean it should. Furthermore, additional bases should not just complicate Chinese targeting, but they should also improve the United States' geostrategic position and provide the U.S. with strategic options. Developing additional bases in Palau, the Marianas, and eventually the Philippines will help the U.S. ensure the survivability of combat power in the Philippine Sea, enable force projection from the Philippine Sea, and provide multiple lines of operation converging on strategic terrain. Fighter aircraft operating from Palau or the Marianas will be operating at extreme ranges to directly support U.S. operations in support of Taiwan, the SCS or ECS. However, aircraft from Palau or the Marianas could support Navy assets operating in and from the Philippine Sea. For example, USAF fighters could provide fleet defense for a carrier-based force operating in the Philippine Sea, which would free up carrier-based fighters for offensive missions. In some respects, this is similar to the concept developed in World War II of having multiple carriers operating together, with one as the duty carrier and the other as a strike carrier. Of course, aircraft with longer ranges would be able to carry out independent missions as well. Bases in Palau and the Marianas would allow the United States to ensure secure lines of communication from the Philippine Sea to key American interests in Taiwan and Okinawa. Additionally, in the event that the Philippines strengthen ties with the PRC, bases in Palau can serve to defend America's western flank, including the lines of communication between the Marianas and Okinawa and Taiwan. If the Philippines returns to the American camp, bases in Palau can help ensure lines of communication to the Philippines. With secure lines of communication, the U.S. could establish base networks in the Philippines to project power into the SCS and toward Taiwan, and can look to establish additional basing options around the SCS. Overall, hub-and-spoke base networks in Palau, the Marianas, and eventually the Philippines help enhance the survivability of American forces and ensure American political options. With China's assertive actions in the South China Sea raising concerns among neighboring nations, this collaborative initiative aims to bolster maritime security and uphold the principles of freedom of navigation. The South China Sea is a vital artery for global trade, with trillions of dollars worth of goods passing through its waters annually. By establishing a military presence in Palau Island, the U.S. and the Philippines are sending a clear message that they will not tolerate any attempts to restrict access to these critical sea lanes. Moreover, the move serves as a counterbalance to China's expanding influence in the region. With Beijing aggressively asserting its territorial claims in the South China Sea, the presence of a U.S.-Philippines military base in Palau provides a strategic deterrent against any potential aggression. As tensions continue to simmer in the South China Sea, the inauguration of the new military base in Palau Island represents a decisive step towards preserving regional stability and safeguarding the principles of international law. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates on this evolving geopolitical landscape. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful analyses. Until next time, farewell.